You think strength is built in the gym, in the mirror, in the moments when everyone is watching? But real strength, the kind that doesn't break when life turns dark, is built in silence. In the small choices no one sees. In the daily rituals that seem meaningless until the storm arrives and you're the only one left standing. Mental strength isn't a gift. It's not something you're born with. It's constructed, brick by brick, habit by habit, day by day. In the quiet morning hours when you choose discipline over comfort. In the evening silence when you reflect instead of distract. In the 1,000 tiny moments when you decide who you're becoming. Most people wait for strength to find them. They wait for the crisis to force them into becoming stronger. They live soft lives and wonder why they shatter when pressure comes. They never understand that strength is like a muscle. If you don't train it daily, it atrophies. If you don't challenge it consistently, it weakens. If you don't build it before you need it, it won't be there when you do. The ancient Stoics knew this. They didn't wait for adversity to teach them resilience. They practiced it, daily. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, woke before dawn every morning to write in his journal. Not because he had to, because he understood that mental strength begins with mental discipline. With the daily practice of examining your thoughts, challenging your assumptions, preparing your mind for whatever comes. He wrote to himself knowing he would face betrayal, war, plague, the death of children. He prepared his mind daily so that when those horrors arrived, he wouldn't be destroyed by them. He built his strength in the quiet moments so he could stand in the chaos. And you? What are you building? What are you doing daily to forge a mind that can't be broken? Or are you just hoping you'll be strong when you need to be, without ever putting in the work to become strong? Hope is not a strategy. Wishful thinking is not preparation. Mental strength is built through daily habits, or it's not built at all. Let's start with the morning, the first moment of the day. The instant you wake up. This moment, this single decision, sets the tone for everything that follows. Most people lose the day before it begins. The alarm sounds. They hit snooze. They negotiate with themselves. They choose comfort over discipline, and in that moment, they've already lost. They've trained their mind that when things are hard, when resistance appears, the answer is to retreat, to delay, to choose ease. Do this every day and you're not building mental strength. You're building mental weakness. You're training your mind to quit when challenged, to seek comfort when discomfort arrives, to avoid rather than confront. The Stoics had a practice they called the discipline of assent, the idea that between stimulus and response there is a space, and in that space is your power, your choice, your freedom. The alarm is the stimulus. Hitting snooze or getting up is the response. And in that gap, in that brief moment of choice, you're either building strength or weakness. Epictetus taught that we don't control external events, but we control our response to them. You don't control when the alarm goes off, but you absolutely control whether you get up or hit snooze. And that control, that ability to choose the harder right over the easier wrong, is where mental strength begins. So, the first habit is simple. When the alarm sounds, get up immediately. No negotiation, no bargaining, no telling yourself you'll just rest 5 more minutes. Get up. Put your feet on the floor. Stand. This isn't about being a morning person. This isn't about loving early wake-ups. This is about training your mind to obey your will, to do hard things even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Because if you can't control yourself in that first moment, how will you control yourself when real adversity comes? If you can't do the simple thing of getting out of bed when you decided to, how will you face the complex challenges life will throw at you? Marcus Aurelius wrote about this. He talked about those cold mornings when he didn't want to leave his warm bed, when his body resisted, when his mind made excuses, and he would remind himself that he was born to work, to fulfill his purpose, that the warm bed was pleasant but meaningless, that he had to rise and do the work he was made for. He didn't wait to feel motivated. He didn't wait for inspiration. He got up because his philosophy demanded it, because his principles required it, because he had decided the night before who he was going to be, and he honored that decision. This is the foundation. Control the first moment. Win the first battle. Get up when you said you would. Because this simple act, repeated daily, trains your mind that you are in control, that your decisions matter, that your word to yourself is sacred. And a mind that keeps its word to itself is a mind that can face anything. After you rise, what comes next matters just as much. Most people immediately reach for their phone. They check messages, scroll social media, fill their mind with other people's thoughts, other people's problems, other people's agendas. They give away their mental space before they've even claimed it. This is poison for mental strength. You're training your mind to be reactive instead of proactive, to be influenced instead of intentional, to be scattered instead of focused. You're starting your day by letting the world colonize your consciousness. And then you wonder why you feel anxious, distracted, overwhelmed. The second habit is to protect your morning mind. Before you check your phone, before you engage with the external world, spend time with yourself, in silence, in thought, in deliberate mental preparation. The Stoics called this meditation. Not the emptying of the mind, but the filling of it with truth, with principles, with perspective. Seneca practiced this every morning. He would review his principles, remind himself what mattered, prepare his mind for the challenges ahead. He knew that the quality of your day depends on the quality of your thoughts, and the quality of your thoughts depends on what you put into your mind first. So before you scroll, before you check email, before you engage with anything external, sit in silence. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you can manage. And in that silence, ask yourself questions. Who am I becoming today? What are my principles? What challenges might I face? How will I respond with strength and wisdom? This isn't about positive affirmations. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. This is about mental preparation, about loading your mind with the philosophy that will guide you when emotions try to hijack you, about remembering your principles before the world tests them. Marcus Aurelius did this every morning. His meditations, the journal we have, were his morning practice, reminding himself that people will be difficult, that obstacles will appear, that events won't go as planned, and that his job isn't to control those externals, but to maintain his internal state, to respond with virtue regardless of what happens. He prepared his mind for reality, not the reality he wished for, the reality that would actually arrive. And when it did, when the difficult people appeared, when the obstacles emerged, when plans failed, he wasn't surprised. He wasn't broken. He was prepared, because he had practiced mentally before experiencing it physically. You can do the same. Sit in silence. Review your principles. Visualize challenges. Prepare your mind. This daily habit builds mental strength by ensuring that your mind is ready before the day begins, that you're not reacting from emotion but responding from philosophy, that you've already decided who you'll be before the world tests you. The third habit follows naturally from the second: movement, physical training. The body and mind are not separate. They're connected. When you train your body, you train your mind. When you push through physical discomfort, you build mental resilience. When you control your body, you strengthen your will. The Stoics understood this. They weren't just philosophers sitting in libraries. They trained physically. Marcus Aurelius wrestled, practiced combat, rode horses, endured physical hardship deliberately, not because he might need those skills in battle, but because the discipline of physical training transfers to mental discipline. When you're exercising and your body wants to quit, but you push for one more rep, you're not just building muscle, you're building mental strength. You're teaching your mind that discomfort is not an emergency, that you can suffer and keep going, that pain doesn't control you. This is perhaps the most direct path to mental strength. Physical training where you deliberately push past comfort, where you embrace the burn, where you choose the harder option, running when you're tired, lifting when your muscles scream, holding a position when everything tells you to quit. Each time you override that voice, each time you push through that resistance, you're building the mental muscle that will serve you in every other area of life. When you want to quit your business, but you've trained your mind to push through discomfort, you'll keep going. When you want to avoid a difficult conversation, but you've practiced doing hard things physically, you'll face it. When you want to give up on your goals, but you've taught yourself to embrace suffering, you'll persist. This is why successful people, mentally strong people, almost universally have some form of physical practice. They run, they lift, they train martial arts, they practice yoga, not because they're trying to look good, but because they understand that the person who can control their body can control their mind. That physical discipline builds mental discipline. So train daily, not occasionally. Not when you feel like it, daily. Make it non-negotiable. Wake up, sit in silence, move your body. These 3 habits, done every morning, create a foundation of mental strength that compounds over time. But morning habits alone aren't enough. Mental strength is built throughout the day, in the moments between the visible actions, in how you respond to frustration, in what you do when plans fail, in how you handle your own mind when it tries to lead you astray. The 4th habit is the practice of pause, the space between stimulus and response. Something happens. Someone insults you. A plan fails. Traffic makes you late. Injustice appears. And in that moment, you feel the surge, anger, frustration, fear, anxiety. The emotion rises and wants to control you, wants to make you react. Most people react. They speak without thinking, act without considering, respond from emotion rather than reason. And then they regret it. Then they wish they'd handled it differently. Then they promise themselves they'll do better next time. But next time comes and they react again, because they haven't built the habit of pause. Epictetus taught that between stimulus and response lies our freedom. But you only access that freedom if you pause, if you create space, if you stop the automatic reaction and insert conscious choice. This is mental strength in practice. Not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of it. Not pretending you don't feel anger, but choosing not to be controlled by it. Not eliminating fear, but acting despite it. The habit is simple but difficult. When you feel strong emotion, pause, breathe, count to 3, to 5 to 10 if necessary. Create space between what happened and how you'll respond. In that space, ask yourself, what would a strong person do here? What does my philosophy require? What response will I be proud of later? This practice, repeated daily in small moments, builds the strength to pause in big moments. You practice pausing when traffic annoys you so that you can pause when real adversity strikes. You practice pausing when someone is rude so that you can pause when someone betrays you. You train in the small battles so you're ready for the war. Seneca practiced this daily. He would review his day each evening, examining the moments when he reacted poorly, when he let emotion control him, when he spoke too quickly or acted too rashly. He didn't beat himself up. He observed. He learned. He planned how to respond better next time. And slowly, day by day, he built the strength to pause even in extreme circumstances. You can build this same strength. Start small. Today, when something minor frustrates you, pause. Don't react immediately. Breathe. Choose your response consciously. Tomorrow, do it again. The day after, again. Build the habit in low-stakes situations so it's there when the stakes are high. The 5th habit is the practice of focus, of single-tasking, of giving your full attention to one thing at a time. This sounds simple, but it's revolutionary in a world designed to fragment your attention. A world of notifications, alerts, distractions, interruptions. A world where everyone is doing 5 things at once and doing none of them well. Mental strength requires the ability to focus, to concentrate deeply on what matters, to resist distraction, to stay present with difficulty rather than escaping into something easier. And this ability, like all abilities, is built through daily practice. The ancient philosophers worked in deep focus. They would study for hours without interruption, write without distraction, think without letting their mind wander. They understood that the quality of your work and the quality of your life depends on the quality of your attention. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this. He talked about eliminating the unnecessary, about focusing on what's essential, about not letting trivial things steal your attention from important things. He governed an empire, yet he could sit and write philosophy for hours because he had trained his mind to focus completely on the task at hand. You likely can't focus for 5 minutes without checking your phone, without letting your mind wander, without getting distracted. This isn't because you're broken. It's because you haven't trained focus. You've trained distraction. Every time you interrupt one task to check another, you're building the habit of fractured attention. Every time you give in to the urge to look at your phone, you're weakening your ability to concentrate. The habit is to practice single tasking. Choose one thing. Do only that thing. When the urge to switch arises, notice it and return to your task. When the desire to check your phone appears, observe it and continue working. When your mind wants to wander, gently bring it back. This is meditation in action. The same practice you do sitting in silence in the morning, you now do while working. When your mind wanders, you notice and return. Again and again, building the muscle of attention. Strengthening your ability to focus despite distraction. Start with short periods. 15 minutes of complete focus on one task. No phone, no email, no switching. Just one thing. When you can do 15 minutes consistently, increase to 30, then 45, then an hour. Build your capacity slowly but surely. This habit does more than improve your work. It builds mental strength by teaching you that you control your attention, that distractions are offers, not commands, that you can choose to stay focused even when everything pulls you away, and someone who can control their attention can control their life. The sixth habit is the practice of discomfort, of deliberately choosing the harder option, the colder shower, the longer walk, the more challenging conversation. The Stoics didn't just accept discomfort when it came. They sought it out. They practiced it voluntarily so they'd be ready when it came involuntarily. Seneca would sleep on hard floors, wear rough clothing, eat simple food, not because he was poor. He was wealthy, but he practiced poverty so that if he ever lost his wealth, he'd be prepared. He built resilience by exposing himself to the very things he feared. This is perhaps the most powerful habit for building mental strength, because mental strength is fundamentally the ability to be okay when things aren't comfortable, to maintain your center when circumstances are difficult, to function effectively under stress. And you can't build that by always choosing comfort. Every time you choose the easy option, you weaken. Every time you avoid discomfort, you reduce your capacity to handle it. Every time you stay in your comfort zone, that zone shrinks. But every time you deliberately choose discomfort, you expand. You grow. You build the mental toughness that separates those who survive from those who thrive. The practice is simple. Look for small opportunities to choose discomfort. Take a cold shower instead of a warm one. Walk when you could drive. Stand when you could sit. Fast when you could eat. Have the difficult conversation instead of avoiding it. Do the hard task first instead of procrastinating with easy ones. These small choices compound. Each one is a deposit in your mental strength account. Each one proves to yourself that you can do hard things. That discomfort won't kill you. That you're stronger than your momentary preferences. And when real adversity comes, when life forces discomfort on you, you'll be ready. Because you've been practicing. Marcus Aurelius faced plague. He could have hidden in his palace, but he walked among the sick. He exposed himself to danger, not because he was reckless, but because his philosophy required it, because he had trained himself to face difficulty rather than avoid it, because he had built the strength to do what was right regardless of comfort. You have that same capacity. You can build that same strength, but only if you practice, only if you choose discomfort daily, only if you train yourself in the small moments so you're ready for the big ones. The seventh habit is the discipline of gratitude. This might seem soft, unrelated to mental strength, but it's one of the most powerful practices the Stoics employed. Not gratitude as toxic positivity, not pretending everything is perfect, but gratitude as perspective, as recognition of what you have while you have it, as preparation for loss. Epictetus taught that everything we have is on loan: our health, our relationships, our possessions, our lives. They can be taken at any moment. And knowing this, truly knowing this, changes how we experience them. We appreciate them more deeply because we know they're temporary. We don't take them for granted because we recognize they could be gone tomorrow. This is negative visualization. Imagining loss. Not to be pessimistic, but to be prepared. To appreciate what you have. To strengthen your mind against future suffering. When you regularly imagine losing what you value, you're less destroyed when you actually lose it. You've prepared mentally. You've practiced the loss before it occurs. The daily practice is simple. Each evening, review what you have: your health, your loved ones, your capabilities, your opportunities. And recognize that you could lose any of them, that they're gifts, not guarantees. Feel gratitude for them now. Appreciate them fully, and mentally prepare for their potential loss. This practice builds mental strength by reducing attachment, by preparing you for change, by ensuring that your happiness isn't dependent on things beyond your control. Seneca practiced this daily. He would imagine his property destroyed, his wealth gone, his friends dead, not to depress himself, but to ensure that if those things actually happened, he wouldn't be destroyed. And when losses did come, as they inevitably do, he was prepared. He grieved, but he wasn't broken. He suffered, but he didn't fall apart, because he had practiced mentally for what life delivered physically. You can build this same resilience. Each night, practice gratitude for what you have and acceptance of potential loss. Thank yourself for your health while acknowledging it could fail. Appreciate your loved ones while recognizing they won't be here forever. Value your opportunities while understanding they could disappear. This isn't depressing. It's liberating. It frees you from the anxiety of trying to hold on to things you can't control. It allows you to enjoy what you have, without the desperate clinging that creates suffering. It builds a mental strength that comes from acceptance rather than resistance. The eighth habit is the practice of reflection, the daily review, the examination of your actions, thoughts, and choices. The Stoics didn't just live their philosophy, they reviewed it daily. They examined where they succeeded and where they failed, where they acted according to their principles and where they fell short. Seneca wrote about this extensively. Each night, he would review his day, not to criticize himself harshly, but to learn, to identify patterns, to see where his emotions controlled him instead of him controlling his emotions, to notice where he reacted instead of responded, to recognize opportunities to do better tomorrow. This practice builds mental strength through awareness. You can't improve what you don't measure. You can't strengthen what you don't observe. Most people repeat the same mistakes over and over because they never stop to examine them. They react emotionally, regret it, promise to do better, and then react emotionally again when the same situation arises. The cycle breaks when you introduce reflection. When you pause each evening and honestly review your day, when you ask yourself hard questions: where did I act from strength today? Where did I act from weakness? Where did I respond with wisdom? Where did I react from emotion? What can I learn? What will I do differently tomorrow? This isn't about perfection. You will fail. You will react poorly. You will make mistakes. The practice isn't to avoid all errors. It's to learn from them, to notice patterns, to gradually over time respond more from wisdom and less from emotion. Marcus Aurelius's meditations are essentially this practice written down. Each entry is him reminding himself of his principles, reviewing his challenges, preparing for difficulties. He didn't keep this journal for others to read. He kept it for himself. As a daily practice of reflection and preparation, you can do the same. Each evening, spend 5 to 10 minutes reviewing your day. Write if it helps. Just think if that's more natural. But be honest. Where did you demonstrate mental strength? Where did you falter? What did you learn? What will you practice tomorrow? This daily habit ensures that you're always growing, always learning, always moving closer to the person you want to become. And that consistent growth, that daily progress, builds profound mental strength over time. The ninth habit is the practice of service, of looking beyond yourself, of contributing to something larger. This might seem disconnected from mental strength, but the Stoics understood that true strength comes from purpose beyond self-interest. Marcus Aurelius was emperor, but he saw his role as service. He was there to help the empire, to serve Rome, to contribute to civilization. His purpose wasn't personal gain or comfort. It was contribution, and that gave him strength to endure incredible hardship. When your purpose is only yourself, your pleasure, your comfort, your success, you're fragile. When adversity comes, when you suffer, you have no reason to endure it. But when your purpose is larger, when you're serving something beyond yourself, you find strength you didn't know you had. The daily practice is to ask, how can I serve today? How can I contribute? How can I make something better? It doesn't have to be grand. Help a colleague. Support a friend. Create something valuable. Teach someone something useful. Make your corner of the world slightly better. This practice builds mental strength by connecting you to purpose, by ensuring that your life has meaning beyond your own concerns, by giving you a reason to be strong. When you know you're needed, when you know your contribution matters, you find strength to face whatever comes. Epictetus taught this to his students. He reminded them that they had roles to play: father, friend, citizen, teacher, and that those roles required them to be strong, not for themselves, for the people depending on them. This is why he could endure slavery without being broken. His purpose wasn't his own freedom. It was to live according to virtue, to teach truth, to serve philosophy. And no external circumstance could take that from him. You have people who need you to be strong, family who depends on you, work that requires you, contributions that only you can make. When you connect to that purpose daily, when you see your strength as service rather than self-interest, you tap into a deeper well of resilience. The 10th habit, the one that ties all others together, is the practice of identity, of consciously deciding who you are, of defining yourself by your principles rather than your emotions, of living from character instead of circumstance. The Stoics believed that we become what we practice, that our daily actions shape our identity, that we're not born with a fixed character but construct it through our choices. This means you have incredible power. You can decide who you will be, and then through daily practice, through consistent action aligned with that decision, you become that person. But most people never make this decision consciously. They let circumstances define them, let emotions guide them, let other people's opinions shape them. They drift through life becoming whoever their habits make them, without ever consciously choosing. The practice is to define yourself, not by what you feel, but by what you value, not by your circumstances, but by your principles. Decide, I am someone who keeps their word. I am someone who faces difficulty. I am someone who acts from wisdom rather than emotion. I am someone who serves a purpose larger than myself. Then each day act from that identity. When you don't want to get up, remind yourself, I am someone who keeps their word. I said I'd wake up at this time. When you want to react emotionally, remind yourself, I am someone who responds with wisdom. When you want to quit, remind yourself, I am someone who finishes what they start. This practice transforms everything. You're no longer fighting against yourself. You're no longer trying to become someone different. You've already decided who you are. Now you're just acting consistently with that identity. And over time, those actions become automatic. You become the person you decided to be. Marcus Aurelius did this constantly. He would remind himself, I am someone who acts for the common good. I am someone who responds with reason. I am someone who accepts what comes with equanimity. These weren't aspirations. They were identity statements, and he lived from them. You can do the same. Define who you are at your core. Write it down. Clarify your principles. Then each day, act from that identity. When challenges come, when emotions surge, when circumstances pressure you, return to your identity. Remind yourself who you decided to be, and act accordingly. These 10 habits, practiced daily, build mental strength that cannot be shaken. Waking with discipline, sitting in silence, moving your body, pausing before reacting, focusing completely, choosing discomfort, practicing gratitude, reflecting honestly, serving a purpose, living from identity. Each habit individually seems small, but together, practiced consistently, they transform you. They build a mind that can't be broken by circumstance, a will that can't be weakened by difficulty, a character that can't be corrupted by pressure. This is what the Stoics meant by virtue. Not moral superiority, but excellence of character. The kind of inner strength that remains constant regardless of external conditions. The kind of resilience that allows you to face anything life delivers and remain true to yourself. And it's built daily, in the small choices, in the quiet moments, in the consistent practice of habits that seem insignificant until you need them. Until adversity comes, until life tests you, and you realize that all those mornings of waking up on time built the discipline to keep going when you want to quit, That all those moments of pausing built the wisdom to respond instead of react. That all those cold showers built the toughness to endure real cold. Mental strength isn't built in crisis. It's built in preparation, in the daily habits that construct an unshakable mind, in the consistent practice that transforms who you are. The question isn't whether you'll face adversity. You will. Life guarantees it. The question is whether you'll be ready, whether you'll have built the strength to stand when others fall, whether you'll have practiced the habits that make you unbreakable. Every day you have the opportunity to build that strength or waste that opportunity, to practice these habits or postpone them, to become stronger or remain fragile. The choice is yours, daily, consistently, relentlessly. The Stoics didn't wait for motivation. They didn't wait for perfect conditions. They didn't wait until they felt ready. They practiced daily because they knew that mental strength is the product of daily discipline, that who you become is the sum of what you practice. That excellence is a habit, not an accident. You have the same opportunity, the same choice, the same potential. Right now, today, this moment, you can begin building the mental strength that'll serve you for the rest of your life, or you can continue waiting for strength to arrive on its own. It won't. Strength is built deliberately, daily, through the small habits that seem insignificant but compound into unshakable character. Wake up, sit in silence, move your body, pause before reacting, focus completely. Choose discomfort. Practice gratitude. Reflect honestly. Serve a purpose. Live from identity. Do these things today, and tomorrow, and the day after. Not when you feel like it. Not when it's convenient. Daily, without exception, without negotiation. Because mental strength isn't a destination. It's a practice. A daily practice that builds the mind, the will, the character you'll need to face whatever comes. And something is coming. Challenge, adversity, difficulty. The question is whether you'll be ready. Build your strength now, in the quiet, in the small moments, in the daily habits that transform you from someone who hopes to be strong into someone who is.